Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into something that I think a lot of cyclists have heard about but maybe don't know exactly how to train for: durability and fatigue resistance. These are terms that come up quite a lot, especially in conversations around longer rides, sportives and hillier events and races, but many people think that and still think that they're somehow separated from building power. And I think that's where the confusion starts. So let's break it down, not just to what durability and fatigue resistance are, but how to actually train them, when to include that training, and why they're absolutely essential, especially as we get older and take on longer, more demanding events. Simon, what is durability and why does it matter? Durability and fatigue resistance are your body's ability to maintain power and your performance despite the accumulation of fatigue. It's what lets you keep riding strong in hour 5 or 6 on a big day out. Think of it this way: when everybody starts to fade, you keep riding strong. That's fatigue resistance. Now, I think this is where people got confused. Some people just assume that it's nothing to do with improving your power output, but in reality, it's all about being able to hold power for longer. And that comes back to looking at your intensity. And again, remember, building your engine as a master cyclist isn't just about riding long and steady. We need to attack our different muscle types and our different energy systems to stop the aging physiology process. And we can do that by being specific. This is why I think it's important to work on your threshold and work on being able to hold that for longer. So if you think about it, if you can hold more power for longer, you're more durable. It's really that simple. So building durability doesn't just mean skipping intense workout and riding long. In fact, intensity should be part of the foundation to build that fatigue resistance that you're looking for. Should we be including strength training to build durability and fatigue resistance? Yeah, I think this is something that's often overlooked. Strength training is really crucial. The stronger you are, the less muscular effort it takes to produce the same power on your bike. And that just makes you more efficient. And efficiency is part and parcel of being durable. So how do you blend aerobic training with intensity? I think that's a really good question, and it's definitely part of the critical puzzle of layering in aerobic capacity into your training. Let's give you a scenario so you can kind of visualize what I'm about to say. Let's say you've got two cyclists who are exactly the same FTP, same weekday training, same weight, same height, same everything, and they both do 2 tough midweek threshold training sessions, and both are building the same robust power and ability to hold it over time for shorter to mid-distance races. I think we're pretty sure to agree that they're going to be evenly matched, right? But here's where the difference shows up. Cyclist 1 does a 2 to 3 hour aerobic ride on the weekend. Cyclist 2 does 2 consistent 4-hour rides at the weekend. When the duration creeps up to 5 to 6 hours, something changes. The rider who's done more aerobic volume doesn't just survive the back end of a ride or an event, they still ride strong. And what I often see is they are able to keep their average pace high and finish with real focus, while the other rider who's not done so much volume starts to fade. And that's why, yes, growing your threshold is important. But if you really want to ride long and keep pushing strong numbers right to the back half of those big days out in the saddle, then you've got to build an aerobic engine and start thinking about training for fatigue resistance. Okay, so what does fatigue resistance training look like in the real world? There are loads of ways to do this and it depends on the cyclist, but let me give you a few real world actionable examples that I've used myself that saw me ride for the Inferno Swiss. An absolute classic is hard effort early on in the ride. So warm up for about 30 to 40 minutes and then do 3 times 10 minutes hard hill reps just over threshold. And after that, keep riding steady for another couple of hours. By doing your efforts early on, it means that you're going to be fresh for those efforts. It means you can give them really good quality And it means that you gain confidence, you can still hold really strong aerobic paces towards the end of a ride. You can also flip this on the head. So basically you do a 2 to 3 hour ride and then you do your hard efforts. Now, I think this is a real test of your mental strength. If you can hit your threshold numbers after a strong aerobic paced ride, then you've got serious durability. I use this next one to really improve my ability to ride longer at a higher aerobic capacity, which helped me in the Inferno. And yeah, eagle-eyed guys and girls may have noticed that the BMC is not there. It's the Giant. Now the BMC is, let's say, getting a few upgrades, which I'm excited to share with you. Anyway, back to the video. These are definitely my favorite structured training sessions for building my durability, and they're structured tempo blocks. And it's something, as I said, I used really effectively for prepping for the Inferno. And I would go out and ride for about 40 minutes at a strong aerobic and then do blocks of an hour of tempo work, 10 minutes steady to recover, and an hour of tempo work, and repeat times 3. That made me seriously, mentally and physically durable. And there is a physiological training adaptation that happens there that helps turn your intermediate muscle fibers more oxidative. So in what it's doing is it's increasing your aerobic pool. And trust me, from a mental perspective, if you do a ride like that and you can consistently put those into your training when it's well structured, the training adaptation from it is massive. But I'll caveat this, they're not for the light-hearted and you shouldn't throw them in at an early part of your training. You should plan them in once you know that you've got a good threshold marker, you can hold your threshold for longer, and you've done a fair bit of steady base aerobic training. Now I know some of you will argue that running hard efforts at the start of a ride is going to blunt your aerobic training adaptations. Yes, the science supports this to a point. And this is my thinking, is that after you've done your hard efforts, it's probably going to take about 30 minutes for the lactate levels to drop and return back to baseline, and for you to start getting into that modality of your aerobic adaptation training that you're looking for. If you're running 2 to 3 hours at the back end of hard riding, then is this really a problem? Creating durability physically is one thing, but we're also creating durability mentally. And just how confident will you be if you go and do really hard efforts at the start of your ride, and then you can maintain really strong, consistent power and paces for the next 2 to 3 hours? I'm pretty sure you're going to come back from the ride feeling like you're in a good position and in really good shape. Let's wrap this up. Building durability and fatigue resistance isn't just about riding long and steady. It's about building on your energy systems and muscle types. And yes, it's about being disciplined when you're doing your aerobic rides. And it's also about training in a way that's going to challenge you and then build your confidence physically and emotionally, that you can hold really strong paces, pull back to a really strong aerobic pace, and then know that if you have to, you can push again. I'll say it again, you have to train smart. So you have to build your threshold and ability to hold it for longer, build that aerobic engine, and then start putting these strategies of fatigue resistance and durability into your plan. I would be interested to see if any of you have actually put any of these training strategies into your training. Did they help? One final thought for you, when you do this type of training, it's going to require you to fuel it like a pro. And if you want to learn how to do that, then this video is going to be right for you.